So I'm gone for 1 week, and there's no show. There's nothing at all. Like, nothing could be piecemeal together. It's just like, no, Drewby's gone, therefore the whole thing is scrapped.
Hashtag follow the conversation didn't have a show, but my show had a show last week. I Can't Know Music, I'll Know Music had an episode last week.
Well,
last week you didn't even put out your TV show. You ignored that too.
Guys, yeah, that's true. Well, when a guy goes on vacation, he's on vacation. He's gone. He is no longer available for things like podcasts. What are those?
You owe the fans an apology.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna try and apologize with a sincere face.
He's not really sorry. I think this is obvious to those people that are in the audio version. He is not sorry.
To all of you out there whose lives fell apart because there was not an episode of hashtag follow the conversation last week, I am truly sorry. And I hope that
I would be sorry if that caused their lives to fall apart too.
And I hope that you will find it in your heart of hearts to forgive me for all the wrongs that I have done,
but for real, you need some therapy.
But get help. Please.
I want you to like our show, but if it's that important to you, you need a lot of help.
This is hashtag follow the conversation episode 55. What's going on, man? We were gone last week. I was gone last week. You were here, but just didn't do anything about it.
I enjoyed my life and didn't do anything on... Wait, is today Monday?
Today is Tuesday.
What is yesterday? Monday?
Yeah, the way the calendar week works, Michael, is Tuesday comes after Monday.
The Black Eyed Peas song is the sun. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Wait, something like that. It goes
party every day. Party every day.
I partied every day last week. I don't know about you, but it was happening around Drewby last week.
Last week I recorded a podcast about a blues album.
So you weren't partying.
Woodchopper's Ball.
So you were not partying. You were doing the opposite of partying.
I had the blues.
Yes. You don't party with the blues.
Center? Do I look crooked or weird or something?
This is great podcast material as always. We're
more centered.
Together. Sure. I don't know how many people actually watch these videos anyway. But sure, Michael, you look great. You look fabulous.
I recommend the audio podcast.
Oh no!
Look at our ugly mugs.
No, there's nothing beautiful about anything of this podcast, including the host.
It's the beautiful letdown.
What is that? Is it come full
beautiful
circle,
letdown? When you watch this podcast after being such a huge fan of the audio version, you decide to take a step into the video content, and the beautiful letdown is that you were not missing anything.
We are the beautiful letdown. It's happened. That prophecy has been fulfilled.
It's 9:00, but I'm already gonna be punchy like a tired person. I feel like this is gonna be either a really good episode or a really bad episode.
It can't be worse than episode 54.
You act like episode 54 is the first episode where we've run out of stuff to talk. Like that's the first one you hosted, but that has happened on many an episode.
Yeah, our lives aren't exciting at all. They're pretty boring.
I don't know, man. I got lots of stuff to talk about this week.
Yeah, so do I. I was on vacation last week, and it's Tuesday. We're recording on Tuesday. We would have recorded on a Monday, except my little brother came over yesterday.
Why did he come over? Were you just watching him? Did you just invite him over to hang out?
No, I was watching him. So he's 7, and my mother had a thing to go to, so I watched him. The rest of my family's out of town, so yeah, we hung out.
Did you play Lego Avengers or whatever that's called?
Yeah. Okay, so the Lego games suck and are terrible. I think they're bad games. I also don't. Oh, that would have made great video. So I just realized that the video, I clicked on your image and the video's just been centered on you the entire time.
That makes it a better show, honestly.
So no, it should be great hosting skills. But no, so my little brother came out. We played Lego Marvel Superheroes for the PS4. So I sit him down. It's like, all right, he'd already eaten. It's like, all right, dude, we can watch something or we can play something. What do you want to do? And he's like, I'll play video games. And so it's like,
Smart
all right,
man.
so
Playing video games is always better than watching TV.
So we played Lego Marvel Superheroes, and the game is garbage, but I tried to persevere through it, and we played together. And then he's like, I want to play. He thought I had the Lego Hobbit game, which I do not have, but I had downloaded a demo, and I think last time him and my other brother came over, they played the demo. So I downloaded that again, which took like 2 minutes, and then we played that. We played through that demo, and he really liked that. But the best part of the evening was when he got into Rocket League. It's like, let's play Rocket League. And at first, it's like, he doesn't know. He loved that game, which is like super. That's like probably my favorite thing of the whole evening.
It's like a simple concept. Was he able to do stuff?
So we were just playing against the computer offline, and at first this is he's just driving around having fun and stuff like that, and he's really enjoying it. And eventually he starts like driving around and trying to hit the ball, and as he's grasping the mechanics of the thing. 7 years old and is like starting to get a grasp on Rocket League, which is awesome.
I mean, think about it. What games were you playing when you were 7?
I don't think I had a game when I was 7 yet. I was like maybe my dad's Flight Simulator, maybe on the computer.
You didn't play any video games when you were 7?
I think I got my 64 in 90. Well, we were living. I was probably 7 or 8 when I got my 64.
Dude, I was born with the controller in my hand.
Oh no! See, the controller came later in life. I had to earn it.
I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure that some of my earliest memories are like playing Super Mario Bros. Like Mario Bros. On the NES.
Nope, I remember the Christmas that I got it, and I don't remember what specific year it was. I think it might have been 90. The year
I got my N64, and it was a good year.
6? Man, if that was maybe I was younger than I thought it was. I was like 6, 7, or 8. Well, let's give a 3-year span of sometime in there. That's when I got my 64, and that was my first game was Star Wars Pod Racer. That was the first video game like console thing, and from there, my career as a video games player just continued and soared.
It's weird for me to talk to someone that's my age. I don't know. See, the weird thing is I was born in 1990, so I mean, I'm not that much older than you, but I've just played a lot older games than you have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, because even Super Mario Brothers was 5 years old by the time I played it.
Mm-hmm. No, I never played any of them. Like the Mario games. My first Mario game was probably Mario Kart 64, and I never played any of the platformers on any of the systems. It's so that we just have completely different upbringings.
Which is also weird because, I'd played the original Mario Kart. Like, I played a lot of those old games, even though I was kind of old enough. I don't know. I don't remember when Mario Kart.
I think that was 98. I want to say Mario Kart came out like 97, 98.
The original
because the 64 launched in
the original came out in 93 for the Super Nintendo.
I'm talking about Mario Kart 64 though.
I'm saying I played the original.
Oh, you did? Okay, I did not play the original.
I played the original Mario Kart. I didn't either. I just played. I don't know. I just played a lot of video games when I was little.
Yeah, I didn't play as much. My video games kind of came in with the 64, and then the GameCube. Played a lot of the GameCube.
Correction. I wasn't allowed to play a lot of video games when I was little. I just remember them because I enjoyed them so much.
Yeah. No, I didn't have really a lot of that. But anyway, so we were playing Rocket League, and he liked it. So I bought the DeLorean DLC for that game, which is $2. That game is free. I played that. I bought other people. I've Giant Bomb. They talk about that game is free. I'll put money towards it. I think you and I have talked about it that way. So yeah, I bought the DeLorean DLC. So I'm running around a time machine. Some of the effects of that thing are sweet. Like if you go fast enough, like the flames literally like the ground catches on fire behind your tires. And
88 miles an hour specifically.
I don't know. I didn't clock that because you can't. I don't know if you can. But and then like some of the blue effects would like go over the vehicle. Like if I was about ready to go travel in time. But no, we played that. I messed with some of the settings where
If you're about to lose, can you go back in time and fix your mistakes?
just reset the. No, that would be kind of funny.
You accidentally open up a hole to Rocket League Earth 2.
No, you can't do that. I don't think time is in that time travel universe. Wormholes aren't really a thing. You don't need wormholes. You just go. So I don't think so. But anyway, I messed with some of the settings, so you can turn like in custom matches. You can like set the gravity to like super high, not super low. So like there's almost no gravity to the point which I witnessed on Giant Bomb. You can fly around. And so, like, I messed with some of those settings, and to the point where the ball just became like a bouncy ball. It was just bouncing off and forth and stuff like that. But no, he had a lot of fun with that. And then it's like when my mom comes, he had to leave. We couldn't finish that match. But
was he unhappy or was he happy to leave? That's what determines on whether he had a good time.
So at one point, what was it he said? At one point in the evening, he's like, I was like, I want to live here or something like that, or I never want to leave or something like that.
Did it rock you to the core of your big brother heart?
I was mainly
just drop kick him out the window.
No. It was nice for me. Because, like, there's games that he can play that, I can play with him, but I don't think those games are any good or whatever. It was just nice for me to find a game that we could both like, that we both could enjoy.
There are kids' games that are good. It's just the majority of them aren't.
I don't think this, like, what was stop?
It's harder because you don't have a Nintendo console, so it's harder to find some of those.
And see, I wanted to take my dad. I texted my father earlier and wanted to double check to see if he could watch Star Wars, and that was going to maybe be my plan. Was can my little brother watch like a Star Wars movie? And but he just wanted to play games. The ideal thing, and he's not going to be able to do this for a while, was because he's super obsessed. Like Star Wars is cool or whatever, but they are so into Lord of the Rings, like ridiculously so.
And I've had your little brother walk up to me and say, "Have you seen Lord of the Rings?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Tell me something about it." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Tell me something about Lord of the Rings." Because obviously he's not allowed to watch it at 7.
Yeah, no, so I did get to drop a little knowledge bomb on him. I did tell him that Glowin from The Hobbit is Gimli's dad. So I did get to.
I'm happy to know that your brother seems more interested in fantasy than sci-fi at the moment. He's a good kid.
He's had a proper upbringing. I
feel like the majority of people I know are more sci-fi, but I'm the fantasy guy.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm definitely more sci-fi than fantasy, but no. So that's cool. The ideal thing would be if they could watch Lord of the Rings, but that's not going to happen for a while because they're so into Lord of the Rings. It was fun. At one point, he's like, "Where's that bone axe that I got you for Christmas or whatever like that?" And I'm like, and so we go through my Nerf stuff, and I find like the axe, and she gave me an axe and shield for like Christmas last year. And then he starts asking me, he's like, "Can I have these?" It's like, no, you can't have this. He was like,
you should have hit him over the head with the axe.
It was.
What do you think, punk?
So I was also doing laundry last night, and I left to go to the unit on the other side or whatever. And he came with me, and like the entire time, he's like running out with his axe, and he's just like hacking monsters the entire way down in the dark to go get as we went to the laundry room. So it was a fun. I think he had a good time last night, and that's great. I can't wait. It will be nice when they can get a little bit older, and then I can start sharing them some of the other things, like not necessarily the worst things. Like, no, let's go. And they're like, all right, we're gonna watch Terminator now. No, but like, let's watch Star Wars, which is a super cool thing that I think maybe you would like, or Lord of the Rings, like things that we can enjoy together and stuff like that. So as he gets older, but so yeah, that's why we did not record a podcast yesterday, was because that happened.
We were also fighting, Drew and I.
It was a spat.
We got bad blood. Hey.
It happens every once in a while, but
we used to have mad love, but we got bad
no.
I know we got problems, but I think we can solve them.
No.
Band-Aids don't fix bullet holes.
So last week I wasn't here. We didn't record a show last week because I was on vacation. I traveled to the south of America, and I visited my younger brother who graduated from basic training this last week. Army basic training. He is now a soldier. He's a private in the Army. He is the scum underneath the boots of the military. So we did that. We went down there. I got a taste of another culture, and it's weird. There are some great things about it. I've learned that Southern food is amazing.
Also, they're really racist.
Also, I learned that there's bad blood between me and them. Not me specifically, but my family. Here's a little history lesson. A member of my family, my ancestry, marched with a Union general who fought for the North, whose sole responsibility was to pillage and plunder the South. And that specific general was brought up a couple times.
It's a good thing that we don't live in the days of yore, where you would have to walk up and be like, "My name is Andrew Hall, son of Rick Hall, son of," and they're like, "You say what? Get thee behind me, Satan."
Oh, it was my mom made the comment. We were in the capital of South Carolina, Columbia, the state capitol building, and we were going to get a tour. And my mom was like, "It's weird being in a place where all you have to do is talk, and they know you aren't from there." Like I've always been around, like, the people I've been around. I think maybe the only place I can think of that I've been where they talk super differently is Michigan. That's just they all have northern accents, which Michigan people have an accent.
We are blessed to live in a place without accents. This is the place of the world that doesn't have accents.
That's super specific. Like, this is the place. Like, where I am at is the place where that is to happen.
I like it. It means I talk best. Even if my words are not top notch, I talk the best.
Congratulations, Michael.
I spit mad game, as it were.
But we visited there and there. I got a visit of a Fort Jackson. We toured that a little bit. I tried some Southern food. I learned about a chain down there called Lizard's Thicket.
And Bojangles.
Which Bojangles was good. That was some good food. It was just chicken and biscuits is basically is kind of their thing, and which is a very Southern thing to serve. At the Bojangles, I did try some sweet tea, and it wasn't like syrup like you might expect Southern sweet tea to be. So they may have been doing it wrong, but it was tolerable. Like, it was like, okay, yeah, like I could drink this. I didn't, but I tried it. Let's see what else. We went to a South Carolina barbecue joint called Doc's. It's like Doc. I haven't. I know because I checked in. I checked in there. I'm gonna have to pull it up because let's see. It was called.
Welcome to the segment of the show called Drewby Checks His Facebook.
Doc's Barbecue and Southern Buffet. So there's an interesting story with this place. So we go there. It's me, Zach, and my mom, and we go through the line or whatever, and I'm going through. It's like, oh, there's yams there. There were and so like this thing is like, oh, this is stuffing or whatever. So I grab it, throw it on my plate. Keep going down the line. It's like, oh, hash brown casserole. Grab that, throw it on the plate. Keep going. I got some. I don't think that time I didn't get meat that time, but I got cornbread, and I don't know if I got I don't think I got any vegetables. But anyway, so I go through, eat. Like, this food is super good, and I go to eat the stuffing. And I was like, put it in my mouth. I was like, that's not stuffing. I still to the front. I don't know what that was. Like, I ate something that was a weird consistency and kind of gritty, and I don't know what it was. And so it's like, but it was like bland, so it wasn't necessarily taste bad, and the texture wasn't super terrible. So it's like you can eat it.
It was a human tongue.
It was probably just ground up human tongue. The restaurant looked like it used to be an old meat packing place. So that's probably what they're serving. They're just grinding up what was left in the back when they bought the place and serving
Which was dead human bodies.
It's the South,
It was your ancestors, the Northerners.
We were trying to rid the people of those Southern. No. But
except you were.
I'm not gonna go into a political rant on my thoughts of the Civil War, but So I get to the hash brown casserole, and I take a bite of that, and it's like, this is not hash brown casserole. It was macaroni and cheese. And so, out of not politeness and not necessarily politeness, but just wastefulness, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and eat all.
You're at a buffet. You can literally just leave the food on the table and go get another plate, and they're not gonna do anything.
Yeah, I know, but it was just like I shouldn't waste food. Like I shouldn't do that. I should eat this.
Children in China are starving, according to our parents.
And so I try to eat this thing, and it's like I wasn't like this. My mom was like, "Just don't eat it." And I'm like, "Fine, I don't need persuasion. Like this I will not eat this." So
I'm glad you needed your mom's permission to not eat the food you didn't like at a restaurant.
I mainly needed just a third party's permission. It's like, I know I don't want to eat this, but I'm going to continue to try to do this. But if Zach could like, don't eat it,
Mama, do I really have to eat this macaroni?
I remember one time when I was little. I don't remember how old I was. I was super little, but I poured apple juice into my Cheerios. And my mom's like, "You're not going to like it." And I'm like, I'm going to do this anyway. And I did it, and I didn't like it. I think I had to eat it all. I remember that.
Evidently, kids are stupid.
Really? Really?
Who knew?
Yeah. So that was Doc's barbecue. But it was good food. We ate cornbread in the South is incredible, dude. Like, it's not cornbread, it's cake, as someone like Mark Lowry would say. Like, it's really good. It's sweet, and it's like you can just eat it with. Oh, this is really good. Apparently, food in the South is just amazing, and this is just something I've been missing my entire life.
You have to You have to preface, or I guess suffix. Is a suffix. You have to let people know when you're telling these kind of stories. I told you I was good with the English language. You never ever go anywhere. You've never traveled. Like, you don't take vacations. You've barely ever left this state. You've only flown on a plane a total of 2 trips now.
Yeah. I flew once when I was super little, but I really count that. I've flown to Denver, and I have flown now I've flown through Atlanta to Columbia, then out of Columbia to Chicago, and then back. So I've gotten a couple flights in. So the flight was one of the things I was super looking forward to, because I love to fly, like, just period. I wanted to be a pilot when I was a little kid, and if I could still fly, I would. Like, flying is awesome to me. And so, like, we're taking off, and this is like, I'm just smiling and stuff. Like, it was really cool. I'm just staring out the window. So we leave Omaha, and we're flying through the air, as one does. And I'm listen to my podcast, whatever they serve for drink on the plane and stuff, and I'm drinking on my Tennessee whiskey, and they
Sweet Tennessee whiskey,
and they so they start descending, and then all of a sudden we're Atlanta, and I thought the flight was going to take like 3 hours, and it only took like an hour, like 40 minutes. Like, it was ridiculous. I was like blown away, because I'm looking out the window, and I'm like, I'm judging these cities, based on how long we've been in the air and how far away. I was like, that must be like Kansas City. Like, for all I know, I was looking at Nashville, like how fast we were going. It was blowing my mind. I wish that flights like that for people like me had, like, okay, we are now flying over Indianapolis. And it's like, oh, cool, this is Indiana, and then you can gauge where you are and like how fast you're going, or just be
some
cool.
Planes have have you ever? You've only flown on a couple of planes. Have you flown on a plane that had TV screens in the back of the seats?
Yes, I did fly that when I went to Denver, but they didn't have anything that.
Frequently, there's a channel, like, you could change channels on those, and sometimes the channels, like, sometimes there's a channel that will show you like GPS location and your speed and all that kind of crap.
That'd be cool to like a flight nerd like me. I did hear today that they have those for like international flights, so when you're flying over the ocean, you can gauge and keep track of stuff like that way.
Yeah, I've also seen. I have seen that on a national flight.
Cool. I wish I had those. I did learn that some planes are small, and like they're not meant for people like me.
Those people that don't know, Drewby is 7 foot tall, and he has never experienced a time in his life. He was born at 3 feet.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. He was already too big to fit into a normal sized plane seat by the time that he was 8.
it's the struggles that you have to deal with on a daily basis, but I've learned to live with them. Just like some of you need to learn to live without this podcast.
There are better things in life than our voices. I have to tell my wife this every day.
You should start telling me that too. And maybe it'd help with our mad love problem. Hey! So we started flying. We're flying in the air, whatever, and there's a small. It was a good trip. We got to visit South Carolina. Whatever, taxi fare is expensive. I learned that. Some cars
taxis are the worst.
I spent $36 to go from the airport to the hotel, and it was like
the worst.
It was bad. It was bad. I didn't really like.
You should have taken an Uber.
See, I don't think we were just gonna get a taxi. We got there that night, and then my mom got a rental car for the rest of the week while we were there. So
Uber.
And yeah, I kind of started an application to be a driver at Uber accidentally.
I just want to accidentally apply for a job.
I
was just surfing the web and filling out this form that you thought was like a quiz to find out your personality. You're like, all of a sudden, they offered me a job, and I'm like, heck no!
I thought this was for a Wii U, bro.
I thought I was trying to get like matched up with see who would make the best roommate according to my Facebook friends.
This isn't my first love.
What?
So no, I was creating my Uber account so I could possibly use Uber when we went down there, and I was doing this in prep for the trip. And the part of the site that I was logging in and like creating my account for was actually like the driver's application. Like here, create an account.
So did you get a job?
Become a driver with Uber? No, I didn't fill it out, and then I couldn't fix my account. I was like, I wanted to like get rid of, and then I had partially filled it out and used that email address, so I couldn't actually create the correct one. So I was just kind of hosed at that point.
Too bad you only have one email address, right?
Yeah, I consolidate. Let's see what else. I learned a little bit about drill sergeants. I work with the drill sergeant and I retired drill sergeant, and I have a newfound respect for them. Zachary, when we were going into places, was like checking to like make sure that, you know, is there any drill sergeants in here? Like, am I okay? Like, he's got this fear in them for this authoritative figure. But you know, as one has. But no, it was a good trip, and it was nice. It was kind of nice to travel. It was kind of it was a different vacation, and it was nice. So that's
as
where
a
I was
person
last
that
week.
doesn't take any vacations, sometimes it's nice to do so, Drewby.
Yeah, well, see, my idea of a vacation and my family's idea of a vacation are completely different.
I take vacations. Drewby doesn't.
Yeah. I have not mastered the art of the vacation yet. But no, flying somewhere and staying there and visit, like, it was fun. It was fun. We toured Colombia a little bit and drove around the country, and I discovered that my mom has no sense of direction. It's really funny.
Used to driving around places with me, so it's not that weird. I bet time on the road trip podcast where we literally headed the opposite cardinal direction.
I told you to go the other way. Just saying. You remember that time on the road trip podcast when you just read out somebody's address?
I felt it was relevant.
It was when you have and nothing to talk about. That was the most relevant. That's the point when you realize that you should just stop. When that is the most relevant thing you have to talk about.
Road trips are a bad choice to record a podcast that you expect to fill without dead air.
Although I will say that a girl I was talking to at the time did use that to learn a little bit about me. To know whether or not
the more interesting part of that conversation is that after listening to the podcast, she continued talking to you.
She did for a little bit, longer. But yeah, no,
probably because she re-listened to the podcast.
She's like, "Wait a second, what have I done?
Wait, I've done a bad thing."
Oh. Anyway, so that's where I was this last week.
Say sorry just for show. I'm
What?
just quoting Bad Blood.
Yeah. Do we have bad blood, Michael? Are we good?
We used to have mad love, but baby, now we got bad blood.
So something else I did since the last podcast was I have played and beaten Halo 5. That game
That's
is
a
in my
video
past.
game. Tell me about it.
So Halo 5 is the 5th game in the Halo series.
That's not even true.
No, it's not. It is the
It's
5th
like
numbered.
7th, 8th, 9th.
It's the 5th numbered game in the series.
True. That's why it gets to 5.
Actually, that's not even true because it's not Halo 1, it's just Halo, so technically it's the 4th numbered. But
Tell me about this game.
Halo 5 is a fun shooter with a story that is kind of lame. It controls and plays nice, but I play this game and just kind of want to play Destiny.
How long is the campaign?
6 hours, 7 hours. You could play through it really quickly, and with everything that happens in that game, like they tell it okay, like I think they could tell it better, but with I'm just not a fan of, I think, of maybe just what they did and what happened in that game. As far as story, it's as a Halo fanboy, having read some of the books like The Fall of Reach, they have kind of written off like all that lore, which they kind of have to, but it's still kind of sad to me because that's kind of the Halo lore that I kind of grew attached to. It's kind of like all these Star Wars fans, they just got all of their extended universe just like ripped away from them and say, no, that's just fake. That's kind of what they've done with Halo but with Halo 5, the game plays really well. I think it's a fun shooter, but the story I feel is lacking. They could probably do more with it. There were some cool set piece moments. No, I will give it that. There were some like not even Call of Duty level, just some sweet, like sick, like, no, these guys are pros. Moments.
Squad mechanics?
So I didn't mess with the squad mechanics at all. The most times I did,
people a lot.
That was the only thing I did.
Did you play on normal?
I played on normal. I played play on normal.
I heard normal is pretty easy.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really have too many problems with it. The only squad mechanic now I did play with was the healing, and that wasn't. There was one fight when it was super stupid because if I go down, I press on the up arrow on the D-pad to call them to me to heal me, and so they're like, "Okay, yeah, I'm on my way, boss," or "On my way, chief," and they'll come over and heal you. The problem is when you're in like a boss fight, and
So is it the same boss that like you had to fight multiple times?
Well, see this is a boss that you do fight multiple times throughout the game, but there was like multiple.
Everyone's complaining about.
Yes, there were multiple instances of that one boss in this fight,
and like he just like, kills your dudes as they're trying to res you over and over because they're not very smart.
Yep, that's it, and that was frustrating, and because he will like one hit like to take you out. And so, like, you need to be smart in your movement and where you are on the field.
Is the boss Clubber Lang from Rocky 3? Who was the boss?
The Warden was his name.
The
I don't
Warden?
know what you're talking. That
from
was his name.
Warcraft? Maeve?
Maybe. I don't know. That's just what he was called in Halo 5. Was he just called the Warden?
What does he look like? Does he look cool?
Yeah, he looks cool. He's a like 9-10 foot person alien he's like Promethean or something like that, or Forerunner. That whole all right, I've got to replay Halo 4 because like I'm kind of lost on like some of the stuff that they did in Halo 4 to try and like I'll say retcon the series.
The Didact.
The Didact was from Halo 4.
That's all you need to know. The Didact. So,
Halo 5, the multiplayer is super fun. It's probably the best Halo multiplayer game yet of the entire of the series. It plays really well. It's fun. I think it's fun.
What do you think of that new mode that's supposed to be MOBA-ish?
So I did play a match of that, and
What's it called again? Do you know?
Warzone. It's called Warzone. I'm gonna open up a window. It's hot in here.
Whoa!
And
Keep your shirt on, Drewby.
It's the window or my shirt. I actually don't. Actually, I think I have the heat on, and I'm gonna shut the window so I don't waste my freaking heat.
Why do you turn the heat off if you're hot, you dingus?
Because I'm in the middle of a show.
You can stand up. This is not professional.
So I'll get it. I'll get it when we swap topics. But
I did crayon.
No, it's a pen.
Okay, I was hoping you just had crayons on your desk.
I don't actually. I have a Sharpie, but no. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was super fun. It was. I mean, if I was to play a shooter like that, maybe I could get into that a lot more. The match was super long. If it was shorter, maybe I would probably be more enjoyable because I don't want to go to like Halo multiplayer or even necessarily Destiny multiplayer for like a 15-minute match.
15 minutes doesn't seem that long.
I know it wouldn't, but like 10 minutes. I think 10 minutes is a good length for a multiplayer match of a shooter.
The card stuff bother you? Because evidently this game has cards that you can spend real money on to buy random packs that give you power-ups.
I don't like cards in my shooters. In my Battlefront has it. Halo 5 has it. I think that system is
Titanfall.
It didn't bother me nearly as much in Titanfall for some reason.
Had it in Mass Effect. That didn't bother me.
Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
I wish that Halo 5. I don't know what it's cards in your shooter. Get it out of there. It doesn't need to be in there.
You spend, for people that don't know, you spend real money or in-game currency, one or the other, to buy packs of cards, and it's just random power-ups that you can pop anytime during the battle.
I'm not going to Halo for number crunching. Like, why am I getting stupid card? Like, those cards do not need to be in there. Like, that is just a stupid cheat mechanic to get your stupid games and your stupid assets into the stupid shooter. Like, they don't need to be in there. It's really stupid that they put those in there. Like, if you have Battlefront, like, why are those even there? Like, this seems like a fake rant, but I'm actually like, why are they in there? They don't need to be there. There are other things that you can do to put those weapons and those assets into those games without doing. It
has nothing to do with giving assets in games. It's about making money.
I'm buying your game. What? Why not just sell season passes? Battlefront has season passes.
Because season passes are a waste of money.
And the cards aren't?
I'm not saying the cards are good. I'm just saying they're trying to make money.
It's just the game would be better without them. And the fact that they put them in there, it's enough that it's like, why? Why do those need to be there? And I will say this again. They did not bother me in Titanfall. It's like it did not bother me like that. But for some reason, it really irritates me that they did that with Halo and even Battlefront, which I've only played the beta of. But this looking at those card systems in that shooter just turns me off to that game, and I lose interest because of that. The joy of the Halo 5 multiplayer, you can still have a lot of fun in it without the card system. It's an unnecessary addition to the game, and I think the game would be better without it. And like I said earlier, I played Halo 5 multiplayer, and I found myself just wanting to play Destiny. The game plays super well, but it's not Destiny. I think Destiny is still the best shooter I've played. And I was thinking about this. Destiny has probably ruined me to shooters in general because I've gotten so spoiled and put so many hours into that game that it's hard for me to play other shooters when it's like it doesn't feel right. They don't play as well. They don't hold up that well. So, yeah. See, I played Halo 5. Let's see. I don't even know. I don't think nothing else has really happened as far as video games. I thought there was another video game and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I'm gonna drop my rant. I'm actually just, um, Michael, you actually have picked up some brand new games that have come out recently.
Yeah, a couple of them. So it's not super new. I mentioned I played Until Dawn. I beat Until Dawn. That is a super fun game about teens getting dead in various ways. That was a game that I played for Halloween. I don't know if we actually talked about that game after I beat it, but I've since beaten that game and watched an entire playthrough of other people playing that game, and that was pretty fun. I liked it a lot. I'm trying to convince Drewby to play it.
Yeah, it's on the. I guess it's on a list. I don't know when I'll get to it.
I'm trying to get my sister to play it, but she's terrified of everything, and she's kind of a baby when it comes to scary things. So it may take the rest of her life until she beats that game. Then I played a game called Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo Wii U, which is a system you may have forgot about. It came out a couple years ago, and games sometimes periodically come out for it. Maybe 5 or 6 times a year, a game comes out for the Wii U. Super Mario Maker is a very special product. For those that don't know, because people forget about the Wii U, you can take Mario, like the original Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Brothers U, and you can make custom levels and play other people's custom levels. And it's basically endless Mario with online. You can share people's worlds, or you can share the worlds that you make. You can play other people's. You can follow people and the worlds that they make, so you can constantly see when they're making new ones. That game is super rad, and as somebody that loves those games and has played all of those, except for New Super Mario Brothers U, I've actually full completed those games multiple times each, I think.
You did beat Super Mario Brothers U though.
Yeah, I beat it. I didn't full complete it though. That game was not nearly as fun to me, but
is that considered a good platformer?
New Super Mario Brothers U?
Brothers U.
Yeah, it was fun. When it came out, it was nice because it was kind of like nostalgic in a way, but they kept releasing new Super Mario Brothers U games, and like now there's multiple of new Super Mario Brothers, and it's weird because it's not new anymore. But like that's the name of the series is New Super Mario Brothers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're fine. I just think that the old ones, there's some good moments in those games, like the one for the Wii. The last boss battle against Bowser is a pretty cool level, like with some good design and stuff. In general, I just think that the old games have some better stuff in them. But I've played a lot of Super Mario Maker, like a lot of it in the last couple weeks. I have not made a ton of levels. You played 2 levels that I made, which were the only 2 levels that I made at the time. One of them was like a stupid broken level, and then the other one was more of like a puzzle level. What did you like? What are your thoughts on that game, having not like been invested in the Mario series at all?
I think it's Mario platforming. A lot of the fun and a lot of the draw. The fun for me about that game seems to be that okay, I'm playing like maybe levels with you or levels of the other community, not necessarily the platforming itself, which is kind of really the main draw of that game anyway. Is just to be able to create levels and share them with friends and to play your friends' levels. As a platformer, super hard levels, I don't know how much drive I would have to try and complete those super hard ones. Just because I'm not a huge platformer guy, and the biggest platform I've ever played really is Super Meat Boy, and as far as 2D platforms anyway, and I am interested in that game as from a standpoint of like playing it with you and maybe creating levels and stuff like that. But outside of that, my draw to it isn't super big. It's not the appeal to me of that game is the social aspects of it, not necessarily the game itself.
The thing is, like, if you are interested in like Mario games and you like that stuff already, this is as close to like a system seller I think as it can get. Like, this is the Mario game to own right now, and there's so many cool levels you can find on the internet. Like, we follow a website, our sister site, giantbomb.com, and there are two specific people that I know of that create levels. There's more, I think I need to find those, but people that create levels and post them online. And I've been able to, like, I beat all of Jeff's levels, and I've beat most of Dan Reichert's levels, but he's known for making monster, terrible, insane, hard levels, and I've completed the last non-challenge level that he made, where specifically he has a challenge with another video game journalist, Patrick Klepek, where he goes back and forth and they're, he makes a level and Patrick tries to beat it. I beat all of them except for the level, the Reikening and the Klepocalypse. So I beat all of his other levels. Man, those levels can be hard. Like, it is interesting for me as someone that has played all the Mario games and has played them for years to see that the different ways that these people can just make terrible monstrosity, like, it's so hard levels. Like, I don't know. So it's a weird combination, because you get to find out, if you're just playing random community levels, how hard it is to make one, because a lot of people just make bad ones. But then also you can, like, you start to, the more you play, even the hard levels, the more you play, the more you realize that, like, you can make a hard level that sucks because it's not fair, or you can make a hard level that's really hard but fair. And, like, being able to differentiate between those two, and, like, getting to play with that boundary. And then also, today I was spending a little bit of time trying to create my third level, and that was fun. I kind of had an original idea, and now I'm playing off of that. But, like, it's a different experience to sit on this side of the Mario, like, games. Like, I can sit here and make this thing, and I can play other people's levels, and I could totally just make that thing that they just made too. And I can see the ideas that they had. And like, it was interesting for me to have made those two little levels that I made, and then being able to watch you play them and, like, get an idea of what it's like to kind of, like, play test. And, like, I had built something in when I was playtesting my own level as, like, a cheat, and, like, you accidentally found it, and then I was just laughing because it was this weird thing that I accidentally left in the level, and you found it early. It's like, this is weird, because I kind of am getting, like, very, 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 very low level basic, like, ideas of what it's like to be a developer for something, and have to have people test it, and, like, seeing you try different things. Than, like, you were trying, like, the level that I made that was not necessarily super fair because it had a lot of random elements to it. It was harder for you because you were playing it safer than I was when I created it. So you were running into actually more random things than I was, which was causing you to have a harder time. And it was just these things that I never thought of, because, of course, I'm going to play the way that I normally play. I'm not going to play the level a way that I don't think of. At least I wasn't going to at that point. So that kind of stuff is really interesting to see. And, like, to play other people's levels and realize that, like, oh, I accidentally broke this because I don't think they planned on this happening, and now I have to restart the level for something that's not necessarily fair. Like, all of these things are really, really interesting for me to see.
In Mario, there's that one level that I played that was, I found that item in there that you had accidentally left in there, and then not only did I find that, but then I beat the level with that item in a way that you didn't even plan for. Like, I found you with that item. It was like,
I had planned for it when I was playtesting. So, like, I knew that you could do the thing that you did because I'd done it when I was playtesting the level, but I forgot I didn't take it out.
Right.
So It was weird because I had done the thing that you were, like, the thing you were trying to do where you beat it. I had totally done that.
Okay.
But
I
forgot that I took that away, or I forgot that option was still in there until you were just jumping around and hit the hidden item. I was like, oh crap, I thought I took that out. Like,
yeah,
it was funny.
I was watching an Extra Life video from giantbomb.com where Dan was making the Klepocalypse level, and he was talking about, he was putting stuff in there and, like, making stuff out, putting it in there just to test it, and then he was trying to remember to make sure he got it all out. But then you talk about like play testing and like trying to and like playtesters actually have to try and figure out all of these different ways of how to do these things. And there's a lot, and even after he spent hours and hours building this level, and then after it, like he goes through and like they have a chat on this video stream, and they're pointing out, and he's got another guy looking at it, and they're finding all of these different things that you could do, and he's like double checking and maybe redoing something or whatever. And after he has spent hours doing it, that part of it actually does kind of interest me a little bit. That aspect of video game development, because developers may have this design, but that design is flawed with the possibilities that it opens up for people to cheat the system a little bit.
And then like there's always the option where like you think you have a cool idea in your head, and then you make it into a level, and then it's not actually fun to do, and you're like, oh, I didn't even consider this an option, because in my head it seemed like it would be fun, but when I'm playing through it, that's not actually fun to do. And like that kind of stuff is like things that regular developers have to face all the time. And that's super interesting, but I just, you don't think about it normally.
Yeah, there's aspects of video game development. It was funny in the Extra Life stream when they had a developer come on, Nina Folman, I think was her name, and she came on or whatever. They were joking like, "Oh, this is like," because she's a video game developer, and they were Dana Reichert was building his level, and it's like they were joking about like, "Yeah, you're playtesting and QAing your own game," and like, "Yeah, we're gonna lay him off right after he finishes the last level," and like there's these aspects of game development that come in that I didn't necessarily even think about with this game, but it's totally there. And the comment was made on the stream. Jeff Gershman, who didn't necessarily like all the creative stuff that was in Little Big Planet, which there were some cool creative tools in Little Big Planet, and people made some cool stuff with. But he is watching the creative he's loving the creative tools and playing with the creative tools in Super Mario Maker, and just the way that game is. I don't know if I want to say a surprise this year, but I think it's doing better than people expected it would.
I don't know how well it's sold because people don't own Wii U's, but it's definitely one of those sleeper hits where it's like you kind of didn't think about it a ton, and then boom, it comes out, and everyone that plays it really likes it because it's such a cool idea. It's almost like one of those things like maybe for the 3DS or something. It's like, why doesn't this already exist? Why did we have to wait until 2015 before we get this kind of like tool to make these games? And of course it controls super well because Mario games are some of the best platformers that have existed, so it plays really well. The creation tools are set up in a way that's really easy, and like it's a really cool kind of place to be right now on the internet.
Yeah, it's there we go. Yeah, it's on. It's a cool thing. I'm glad it exists, and I am interested to play it. I don't know, though. I'm not a very creative person, so like the level aspect of me, it would be a way for me to get into Mario in like the super late game stage. But it's a weird entry into Mario because it's not even really true Mario and like true Mario platformers. Like your entry to Mario level could be just playing garbage levels and then just being frustrated with the whole series.
It's true, but there's tons of Nintendo made levels as well. Like I didn't show you any of them, but there are hundreds. There's at least 100 Nintendo made levels in the game, I think. They're not necessarily always long, but they're made to kind of show off some of the tools and the things that you could do in the game. But there's some, and there's also like Nintendo featured levels, which like Nintendo kind of vetted them and said, hey, these are awesome levels. And all of those are at least somewhat well designed. I beat all of the ones that are up there right now.
What is your goal with creating Mario levels? Like, what are you trying to accomplish?
So at this point, I'm still like, so I've only made 2.5 levels because I'm still working on one. The goal for me is at this point, I don't have anyone specifically that I'm challenging. And I'm not trying to make anything that's like deathly hard because I don't want to necessarily have my levels end up in the expert category. So games or levels are rated easy, normal, and expert based on the amount of times that people try them versus the amount that they complete them. Like that percentage raw determines whether your level is considered easy, normal, or hard. And I'd like to get some levels in the normal category, which like people have to try to beat, but they don't get so frustrated with that they skip it. So I'm trying to create cool ideas for levels that are slightly challenging, but not like stupid hard. And I feel like that sweet spot is probably really, really hard to hit for like a good level. Because you can make an easy level. You can even make an easy level that looks cool. Or you could make a stupid, insane, hard death trap level. But that middle ground, like that sweet spot, I think is going to be hard. And that's what I kind of would like to learn how to do.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be fun. If my complaints with that game, kind of the biggest complaint probably with that game, is the way that the levels are shared. It's a very Nintendo way to.
Yeah, everything about a lot of the
stuff.
online stuff is really not great. Like you can't search for levels based on like parameters. You can't tag levels with different parameters. So like the only way to play a specific level is to type in like a code, which is like a 16-digit identifier. And once you do that, you can like see who made it and you can follow that person. And from that point, it's fine. You can see all the levels they play, all the ones they star, all the ones they make. But the whole idea of you can't search for a creator. You have to find a level that creator created and then enter the code for that, and then you can follow them. But like finding it's very Nintendo like with some of its online options and features.
Yeah, so we'll see. I would like to play this game. I would like to have a Wii U. I think this sounds like a great game for me to just like plug into my bedroom and then just like play with my tablet in bed, like at nights and stuff like that. That kind of sounds fun to me right now. So
I've played a lot by Wii U, specifically this game recently in bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't have a Wii U. It would be nice to have, but I don't have $300 to drop on a Mario Maker bundle. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Okay.
I played a game called Fallout 4.
Yeah, Fallout 4. How many hours have you put into that game so far?
1.
How was that 1 hour?
As someone that has not really given Fallout 3 a chance or Fallout New Vegas a chance, but I gave Skyrim a long time of my life. It's all right. It's good.
You have it on the PC?
I have it on the PC. I haven't seen any performance problems or glitches in the 1 hour that I played.
That's all right. All right. We're off to a good start.
Unless you count like stupid weird things like I messed with the camera or I was standing too close to a wall during a cutscene so the camera looked funny. Okay. Which I don't know. The game slightly intimidates me because there's so many different things that I could do. Like can you hear me? Are you muted or am I muted?
Oh no, I just muted my mic for a second.
Oh, okay. I was super confused because I just saw a mute button over my name. You can like Minecraft style build houses in certain areas, and like like a
weird mechanic
into an area where I was super confused because a lot of things aren't explained on purpose, but I walked away because I didn't care. My dog got attacked by moles.
Okay.
And he started crying. So I healed him.
Were they giant mutant moles?
Yes. And then I healed my dog, and then we decided to go to a city. And in the city, there were bandits that were shooting at a man in a cowboy hat who had a laser chain gun. So I did what a normal person would do, which is I took a police stick and beat the bandits to death until one of them murdered me with a shotgun. So I had to reload a save. Then I said, screw this police stick, and then picked up a gun of myself and then shot all the dudes. Then I went inside and like there were more dudes, but I had a laser chain gun, so I murdered them. Then I opened up a door and I was in a safe room, and like there was this guy telling me he was from the Minutemen and that they were fighting mutants. And then he was like, yo, I don't know who you are, but there's a power armor on the roof that you need to destroy the monsters, and there's a power core in this building somewhere. Go do it. And I said, What? Go ahead.
Why doesn't he just wear the suit and use the power core?
Well, because he was protecting a bunch of civilians, and I was like,
without the power suit though, that was right there.
The power suit needed power. That was the problem. You would have to go into danger to get it. And he wanted to protect the people. He was holed up in a room. They were in a safe room, kind of.
Gotcha.
He was like, can you do this? And I was like, I guess. The thing is, all right, so we've talked about this briefly. And not briefly. We've talked about this a lot. In RPGs, or PGs, if you are from the UK, there's always the main quest, which you can do, and then there's always side quests.
This is also for open world games as well. This principle applies for open world games.
Yeah, so it's even a lot of regular games have this now. So you have your main quest and you have side quests. One of my things that I do when I generally play video games, for the most part, is I try to typically role play, at least for my first playthrough, role play the character. So I don't know if it's a spoiler to talk about the first hour of the game.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it. So if you care about the first hour of the game,
okay,
spoilers, then I'm sorry, you can skip ahead or whatever. But I'm going to spoil this. So you are walking around, you live in a home with your wife and baby. It was a baby son for me.
It's a vault.
No, in a home.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then a dude comes to your door and is like, yo, man, if the bombs ever drop, you're on the list to be allowed in the vault. And you're like, okay, whatever. And then like literally 5 minutes later or less, it's actually less than 5 minutes. Like you shut the door on dude and then you turn on the TV and they're like, the bombs are dropping. And you're like, oh, poop. And then you open up the door and you see like a mushroom cloud or something. And you're like, oh no, we got to get to the vault. So you follow the like tons of people that are on the street running, and you go to the vault, and they're not allowed in, but you're allowed in. So you go to the vault.
Were you selected because of like your genes? Like you have optimal genes to reproduce for the human race?
So I suppose so, but there's nothing that dictates this.
Okay.
So you go into the vault. Then they say, we're going to have to decontaminate you and depressurize you because you might be radiated.
Okay.
And you're like, I got this. So you step into a thing that is like, okay, so as we're talking about things that like I know as the player that the thing that I am walking into does not look like a depressurization chamber. It looks like a cryostasis chamber.
Okay.
But I guess my character has never seen one of those before. So he gets in and freezes.
Gotcha. Surprise.
So you start to wake up. So you start to wake up at one point, and you see someone come in, unfreeze your wife who's holding your baby, shoot your wife in the chest and steal your baby, and then you freeze again.
Whoa. Okay.
So the plot line of this game is you wake up some unknown time later and everyone in the vault is dead. You can explore and try to find out some of the stuff that happened or whatever. But basically, you leave the vault by yourself. Everyone inside is dead.
Okay.
You walk outside the vault, and the only thing you give a crap about is finding where your son is. Because you don't even know
obviously
what's going on. You don't know what year it is. You saw your son get kidnapped. So the thing is, there's going to be a lot of side quests in this game. But if I were really role-playing it, I'm going to be like, I don't really care about the politics of this stupid situation. I've been in cryostasis for like over 100 years. I need to find my son if he's still alive or if I outlived him while I was frozen or something.
What happened to my child?
Also, like, I don't know. If I've never seen a mutant like human before, like they have the mutants that have just been messed up with radiation, like, would my character just smash his face with a police baton or a pool stick? Like, would I care about all this stuff when I watched my son get kidnapped? Like, I don't know how much of the side stuff I'm going to give a crap about. So I don't know. It's going to be weird, but I've only spent an hour with it.
See, if I got Fallout 4, which I'm kind of want to, I would kind of play the game like I played with Skyrim and just explore and do side quests and have fun.
Skyrim's main quest literally has the least urgency I can think of. Like once you escape the city where the dragons are actually attacking you, there's no reason to be like, all right, I'm just gonna go be a dude and like build the best armor. Yeah.
I don't remember that city happened.
At the very beginning of the game, dragons attack the city.
That little thing. That little castle.
Literally, as soon as that's over, there's no reason for like in the main quest for you to be like, oh, I really, really need to go do this stuff. Like you could totally just be like, I'm gonna go chop down trees and build myself a sword and then become a smithy and then sell stuff for money. Like there's no reason for you to do any of this stuff. Fallout tries to give you a story, but that makes me less likely to want to try the side content, even though generally with Bethesda's games, the side content is some of the best content. So it's just a weird thing.
How does the game Fallout 4 look compared to Skyrim?
I don't remember. I remember Skyrim looking super good. This game looks fine. Like it probably looks the same. The thing is, I don't like the setting as much. And I knew that going in, like the post-apocalyptic gun stuff, I don't find as interesting as the fantasy stuff. So like it looks fine. Like I don't dislike it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious. Fallout 4 actually. Oh man, Fallout 4 interests me. I just need to drop money. I've got some money for a computer game, but I hold it for Fallout. I use it on Fallout 4. All right, hold on to it and then drop it on Just Cause 3. And Just Cause 3 seems like a much more of a Drewby game than Fallout 4 does, although Fallout 4 does seem kind of cool.
This Friday, something comes out that we haven't talked about on this podcast. Friday. It is the Gear VR.
Oh.
Which is a virtual reality headset that you can plug Samsung phones into and get into virtual reality.
I've got one of those.
You have a Samsung phone? Yeah. So I pre-ordered one of these babies and it is supposed to be here Friday according to Best Buy's website.
Nice.
I can talk about that. I could record the next show in VR, as people in the UK would say.
Your whole weekend is just going to be consumed in your virtual reality.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully that comes in on time. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
What's our marker? What's our time marker at?
We're at about an hour 7 minutes.
All right, I have something that I need to talk about then. Unless you got something you want to broach.
Yeah, get this off of your chest. Go.
I watched a TV show of my own volition that was not comedy, but it actually might be interesting. Depending, have you ever heard of a TV show called Grey's Anatomy? I did not watch that. But I did watch a show.
Holy crap.
I did watch a show.
Are we for real right now?
Called Heroes.
Okay.
Which is on Netflix. Have you ever seen Heroes?
I've watched a little bit of it, but I haven't spent too much time with it.
All right, so there are two things that I know about Heroes.
Okay.
Lots of people really liked the first 2 seasons and then said the show was crap.
Okay.
And also that its tagline was "Save the cheerleaders, save the world," which is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Is the cheerleader safe, Michael?
So let me preface this by saying that I hate TV as a medium for the most part.
Okay.
Because I think that it tends to be a medium that can run really long in the tooth. Like TV shows are built to last a really long time when sometimes the story that they're telling doesn't last that long, which could be what happens to the show. I don't know. Also, I don't know. I was listening to the TV show podcast that you do with my brother called The Cultural Screening, and it made me like reconsider the philosophy of what I think about TV shows in general, which we can broach at some point maybe. But Heroes. So did you say you've seen this or not?
I watched part of an episode a long time ago. I This was several years ago. I don't remember much about it, but I remember like parts of this episode I watched or whatever.
So this might be one of my favorite pilots I've ever watched.
Really?
Like,
okay.
I cannot fully explain why. It could be the state of mind. It could be, the way that I felt last night when I watched it. But it was super rad. And I think that one of my favorite things, so I watch a lot of comedies, which I like just because comedies are different, like they're funny, whatever.
Yeah.
The only serious shows that I'm trying to watch right now are serious in quotes, I guess, are Arrow and Flash, which are both CW shows with a certain budget and like they're aiming at a certain demographic. And I don't.
You don't know how to say it.
I don't know how to say what I'm saying because I don't want to be offensive, but I want to. Like, they're not. You don't have to think very hard to understand those shows. They're very straightforward, and a lot of ways. Especially like the further you get into Arrow, the less there is. That's actually like when you first start Arrow, and like they're doing the stuff on the island. And that plays heavily into everything. Everything is kind of a mystery. Now on Arrow, it's just who is going to backstab who next. Like, it's kind of lost a lot of its mystery, I guess. Like, they still have, they've kind of like ruined their own tool set. Because the tool set of Arrow is who's going to come back from the dead, who's going to backstab who has a secret about who else. And that's kind of like every single plot that happens in Arrow kind of right now.
Yeah.
And that is interesting on some level, but at some point it's kind of reached, like, I don't think that show is ever going to rise above a certain level because it's kind of stuck in a rut. And I don't know how it would bring itself out of that rut. And I think I have a problem with like TV shows that are based on known properties in general, because they have to try to straddle this weird line between trying to do something new and just retelling stories. And like they can't change too much, because if they change a character completely, then people who like the comics get mad. Like they're kind of tied in a lot of ways. The first episode of Heroes, like, it's not based on a comic. It's not based on anything that I know of. They could do whatever they want to. You just don't know what's going on or why. And I really like watching a show where you are intentionally in the dark on so many things on purpose. Also, that show came out in 2006, and it has better special effects than Arrow. Probably because it was an NBC show.
I want you to clarify something. You say you like watching shows that intentionally keep you in the dark. One could make that argument about Arrow or Flash and like some of the mysteries that they have. Like on Flash right now, like one of the big mysteries is who is Zoom? Like, who is this bad guy? And like what are you talking about specifically?
One of my problems with like something like Arrow or Flash specifically is that so many people can bring in like. So I listened to the first episode of the cultural screening, which is about episode 3 of Arrow and Flash and whatever in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the majority, and I'm not blaming, like I am in the minority here, so I'm not gonna like pretend that I've got something that people don't understand. The majority of your time on the show, and I'm not saying that this was a problem because the people that like these shows are into this. The majority of the time that you spent on the show was speculating what would happen in the show next based on everything else that already happened in the comics.
Okay.
And I find that, as someone that kind of doesn't care about the comics but wants to like the show, to be lame. And like I'm in the minority, I think, because people that like comic book shows like them because they're about characters they like. But I don't like the fact that they're probably just going to end up doing a bunch of stuff that's slight changes to stories that they've already told in the comics is a lot. It gets read like, for instance, something like, oh, I'm watching this TV show called Arrow, and this girl's name is Laurel Lance. And I know that Laurel Lance becomes the Black Canary. So the fact that she becomes the Black Canary, which is supposed to be this cool thing, if you care about the comics and you know about the comics, that's no surprise. Like you spent a lot of time talking about one of the new characters. His name was Curtis, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously at some point he becomes somebody, I don't remember his name.
Mr. Terrific.
And it's like people that like you already know what's going to happen. You already know who he's going to be. You don't know exactly how he's going to do it. You don't know the iteration of what it's going to be in this thing.
Okay.
But like a lot of that mystery is gone. You know what's going to happen here. And like for the people that really like the comics, that's cool because they're like, oh, I really love this character. I'm really interested to see how he does this. But like to me, as someone that cares less and less about comics, as I think about what's messed up about comics, like I want them to not be tethered to this stuff. And then also Arrow's just written itself into a drama corner where it's way more a soap opera than a cool story. So like that's a different story. But like, and I'm sure Heroes will probably get there since it's like an NBC TV show. Sure. But at the point that it's at, it's just really cool sci-fi superhero stories. And nobody knows what's going on, including the characters in the story. And like the one moment that's kind of like, okay, here's a little bit of the like the feel of like a soap opera like guiding hand thing doesn't feel as forced as it doesn't feel as forced as some of the crap that comes across in Arrow or in Flash. Okay, I'm gonna spoil some Flash. When Flash in Flash, when what's her name? Iris's mom comes back. Yes. It's just one of the stupidest potential plot points to me because it's like, let's just find another like butt to pull drama out of and then give it out.
Yes, but just really quick about that's really just kind of a plot device to bring in her son. That's really all that it appears that character is being used for. Yes, they are pulling drama out of it, and that drama it's just stupid. But that is kind of the plot device that they are using to introduce this other character. So go ahead.
The only drama moment I've seen that was like super obvious. It's weird because I don't know how to describe this, especially since I don't like to watch a lot of TV. Like sometimes the drama feels forced and sometimes the drama feels cool. The only forced drama moment I've seen in Heroes in the first episode was not egregious. It was like, okay, whatever, I can deal with this. In Arrow, the first couple times they start adding stuff like that in there, it's like, oh, that's potentially interesting. Oh, that's potentially interesting. But by the 20th time that someone backstabs someone else, you're like, screw you. Like this, whatever. And like I'm watching it, like I'm still enjoying it on some level, but it loses a lot of that like spark that initially was super interesting. And I'm sure Heroes probably will, especially since generally people didn't like it after a certain season. But it feels like very interesting because no one knows what's happening, and I like that, and it doesn't feel super forced. And it, like I like the tone that everything is coming across in. There's a ton of characters, which like I don't know. As someone that really likes Twin Peaks, I like things that have a lot of characters. I like a show to assume that I'm smart enough to like be able to keep track of more than like 4 people. So the fact that there's like a lot of main characters in the show already is potentially cool. And like obviously I'm talking about the pilot, but like I have not seen a pilot for a show that made me want to watch the show this much for a while. Because pilots are hit and miss generally. Like even for shows that I like, pilots can be stupid.
It would be nice, as watching Flash and Arrow. Yes, those shows are dumbed down to a point for the audience that they cater to. Like it's on the CW. Like there's a specific audience that they're catered to. This is the same network that has like Vampire Diaries. It would be nice and refreshing as a viewer of these shows to watch and keep up with a show that is written intelligently and written well enough in a way that like you keep track of stuff, and there's a little bit more substance to the show itself. That
And like that's one of my problems with TV shows as a medium, because you don't want to just hook people. Like it's hard, and I admit that this is a medium thing. Like, so you have Arrow, and you want to watch Arrow, and you miss an episode, or you've never heard of Arrow. Let's assume you've never heard of the show, and you just happen to be channel surfing, and you stop on Arrow. If you are going as deep as I'd like you to, you wouldn't have to explain everything every time something came up. But because you have to account for new people, you have to repeat information a lot. And like, it's one thing if you're watching it from week to week, but even like the average, like we are watching a show, we don't need them to repeat the same thing over and over because we pay attention and we care. But like the average person may not, or the average person may never have seen the episode previous. So every single episode, you have to repeat certain, like if you, for instance, I almost binge watched all of last season of Arrow and last season of Flash. And the amount of times that you hear characters repeat information from episode to episode solely for the reason of the viewer, like not, it doesn't make sense why that character would say that information again to that other character, because of course they know that. It's solely for like the people that are watching. They're like, oh, I totally forgot that happened last week. What was that again? Mm-hmm. Like that kind of stuff. Like it exists, and like it's catering to an audience that may not care, and like that just, you know, whatever. I'm in the minority there. I just find some of that stuff frustrating.
It would be kind of stupid for like, all right, so I'm this new, I'm browsing through, flipping through channels. Oh, there's a show, and there's a scene I'm thinking of specifically in the last episode of Arrow. This isn't spoilery, where there's like this action scene where Oliver's doing some cool things with bows and arrows and like zip lines, and he kind of rappels down this way. Like you flip it through, you watch that scene, you're like, oh, sweet, like this looks super cool. And then you watch for like maybe another 10 minutes, and then like, I don't know if I can be with you anymore. And she's like, I just need some space, and I'm losing myself, and it's just like, I could see how that would be like, oh, like, what is this? Like, why am I like, this looked so cool like 10 minutes ago, and now I'm just dealing with this relationship issue and stuff. So I am, if you listen to the show Cultural Screening, I am on the boat of kill Laurel Lance. And I think the show would definitely improve if that happened, but it doesn't fix the underlying problem. I mean, it's on the CW. There's certain aspects and qualities of that show that are going to be there because of the network that it's on, and I just think we have to deal with it. And a lot of my enjoyment from the show is also kind of just derived from just being along for the ride and watching the progression of the season, and like being super excited when like cool stuff happens, and just there is I'll kind of a shallow level of enjoyment that I do get out of that show, and I think and I'm not alone in that.
My old person like cynicism level, just like when I hear people say, "Oh, you won't believe what happened in this TV show. It was so crazy," kind of has stopped caring. Mm-hmm. It's like, I think that like, I would like to believe that the reason that no longer makes me care is because shows backpedal and retcon and raise characters from the dead, and like that kind of stuff happens so often that I no longer care when it happens. Like one of my favorite TV shows on TV, that's semi currently running or whatever, is the BBC Sherlock. And
oh yeah,
the new season of that show has not come out, but the last scene of the last episode of the seasons that came out potentially had a character that was supposed to be dead come back. And if that happens, it means that the death that happened previously, quote unquote, was not real, and it loses all of its original impact. And that's just how superhero stories work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, I want superheroes.
That's how comic books are. That's just
exactly, which is why I hate comic books, because they don't take themselves seriously. Like, that's the thing that made me stop caring about comics. Is I like them so much that it bothers me when they don't like themselves enough to make something last for more than a year.
It's all money, man. It all comes back to money.
And I understand this. Yeah, I understand. And I understand that evidently I'm in the minority, especially when it comes to certain things. But like, I don't hate comics because I think comics are for children, or like because they're a waste of money, or because I don't like superheroes, because I don't like sci-fi, because all of those things are super interesting to me. I don't like comics because I want them to be something that I don't look at and like have to, like, we talked about this. We're going on super long now. We talked about this with Star Wars. Like, we were like, with Star Wars, you can watch it now, but sometimes you have to be like, well, you have to think about it in the past. You have to think about it with the sci-fi or the technology they had then. Like, you have to have caveats. When I am like telling my wife about comic books, I have to be like, well, you have to ignore the fact that this character dies and gets resurrected. You have to ignore the fact that she was supposed to be dead, but she didn't really die. You have to ignore the fact that like that part doesn't really make sense because they switched writers. And like he decided to do this with this character and they totally retconned that story. Like, I don't want to have to do that. Like, if I'm going to like something, I don't want to have to make excuses for it. And for some people that's okay. And you can compartmentalize it and you can ignore that. For me, it's just really hard to do that because I want it to like itself as much as I want to like it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just don't know if that happens.
And I've explained this before. I don't think on the show, but like that's where the power of indie comics come in, and Image and Dark Horse and those other developers where they can write one-off series, like the comic book series that you were reading called Velvet, which you super liked, but you ended up having to stop reading because it had bad content in it.
Well, that's the other thing. There are TV shows that take themselves seriously that are awesome, and they're all on HBO, and they're all full of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And it's like there's no, like, the TV shows that are made for family-friendly audiences or for adults that are not like super full of sexual content are just appealing to a more mass audience, and they don't take themselves as seriously, where the serious shows are full of all of this explicit content. And I just wish that there was like Image Comics. A lot of them are awesome, and a lot of them have nudity in them or something. And like, okay, I wish that could be cooler, but that's not something that I'm going to read. Like, I wish there was more of this audience of like, hey, kids are smarter than we give them credit for. 13-year-olds can understand certain things. We can make things for 13-year-olds that are taken seriously. But like we don't necessarily always do that. And mass markets could be smarter. Maybe if we expected them to be smarter, they would learn to be smarter. I don't know. It's a philosophical question, I guess. But
you've entered into the realm of marketing, and
I don't like to talk about marketing. I'm very against mass marketing generally because it's lying.
It's the devil. Marketing is the devil.
What do you have on top of your Bible back there? Is it
that is our Bible study book. The First Peter thing. It literally says Drewby on it. I have started it.
I actually need to work on that tonight, which is lame because it's late now.
I'm not going to be just completely ready for tomorrow. All right, I think that's kind of going to wrap it up. We went from last week's or 2 weeks ago, our podcast, like where I have nothing to talk about, and like we have all these topics to talk about. We could probably still go with other topics, but
I barely talked about it until dawn. But
yeah, perhaps we could broach that another time after your sisters played more of that game. We have stories to tell.
I talked a long time about Fallout 4 for 1 hour.
Stuff happens. Man, colds. Am I right?
Yes, you are right. You always have a cold. Don't blame it on the time of year. What did this time of year ever do to you?
That is not true. I do not always have a cold.
It was
not true. I do not always have
You've had a cold for months.
That is not true. That is not true. I just got this like a week and a half ago.
It may have gotten worse. You've always had it.
I had a sinus infection last week. That was fun.
Your face is a sinus infection.
My face is literally full of sinuses. All right.
Trix, because I bought Trix cereal because it's so good, dude. That's a cereal that you're not allowed to eat sometimes when your mom wants you to eat healthy because it's just sugar. But man, it tastes good.
I would rather eat. Now Trix is good. I would choose Reese's peanut butter puffs though over.
I don't like peanut butter, but.
Yeah, I got some Captain Crunch peanut butter cereal, and it's not as good as the Reese's Puff stuff, dude. It's where it's at. All right.
Silly rabbit tricks is for kids.
You're not a child anymore. Michael, how can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/MichaelNip, MichaelKnipp, as in pepperoni pizza, or facebook.com/TheRealMichaelNip. Both of those things are social media opportunities for you to see the types of things that I do. It's getting late now, and since we're not talking about anything,
you didn't mention your podcast. I Can't Know Music on the Music. No episode this week, right?
Yeah, so there's no episode this week because we are preparing for baby, and I spent some time doing some stuff for the baby's room today. But generally speaking, we have a podcast on thecultureandpeople.com called I Can't Know Music, I'll Know Music, that I do with a friend of mine, Blake, family of mine. I don't mean that because I don't like him. I mean that because I don't understand how families work. And
yeah, they're really complicated.
He is my brother-in-law, and we talk about an album a week whenever we get around to it, which I believe will be next week now. We are going to be talking about David Bowie's third album, which is called The Man Who Stole the World. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes. Yes.
Because it's the theme song of your favorite video game that came out this year, Metal Gear Solid 5. There's a cover of that song that's the theme.
Okay.
Speaking of David Bowie, your team in that game was called the Diamond Dogs.
Yes.
That's named after a David Bowie album as well.
Okay.
Diamond Dog.
I did hear that Hideo Kojima was a huge fan of David Bowie. I think that kind of jokingly because of this game and all the David Bowie stuff that goes on in Metal Gear.
It makes sense. He's a psycho-Japanese guy who likes weird American stuff or Western stuff, and David Bowie is a very weird glam rocker from the late 60s on.
From whenever he was doing his thing.
From when he was spawned as the Goblin King.
Man, them glass balls.
What else? How do people find you, I guess?
Hey, I'm the host. You can't do that no more. This is not your podcast. I can do what
I want to. You said as a co-host of this podcast that I would be off the rails. I could do what I want to do. You compared me to the Jeff Gershman of the Giant Bombcast, which means I could literally say everything I want to say.
Hashtag no filter.
Why are you wearing a Superman t-shirt?
Because I can. Because I'm off the rails.
You should be wearing a Superwoman t-shirt since you like that TV show.
Technically, this could be Superwoman as well.
Is it the same? I don't know. I don't watch the show.
It's the S. No, if you want to find me on the internet, twitter.com/Drewby132, Facebook.
Does it become a Superwoman t-shirt if you pad your shirt?
Shut up. I'm doing my outro right now.
All right, fine.
Facebook.com/Drewby132. I have another podcast with Mark on the website called The Cultural Screening. We talked about it a little bit. We'll do an episode this week. That's the plan, at least. This week could be a little bit interesting because I actually have plans Friday night. So we'll see. Maybe we'll just do another one on Thursday. But so yeah, there's that. We talk about Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I like the episode I heard of that show, which is only the first one, because it's spoiler territory, and I've only watched up to that point of those shows that I care about. So, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I put in the details, descriptions of each show, what episodes we talk about, so you definitely know where we're covering. And those are spoiler shows. So, like, if you're like, I'm going to check this out, but I haven't seen anything, be warned. We spoil like everything, and like it's all game in that show.
Like 3 weeks ago, when you posted the first episode, I listened up to the point where you said, "Okay, we're going to start spoiling stuff now," and then I just kept it on my player until I finally watched the third episode of those shows. At least the ones I cared about, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did me very wrong. I'll just say that. I believe that in general, even for TV shows I don't like, I try to give them a fair shake. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in that first season was literally some of the worst TV that you could watch.
Yes. Yep.
And I couldn't do it.
See, I quit Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. See, like, season 1, I couldn't do it. Like, I quit that show. It's like, I'm not going to watch this. And I missed some of the best. Like, I quit like a couple episodes before that show got really, really good. And so if you want my opinions on that, you can maybe we'll talk about them. Season 1, most of season 1 is absolutely garbage until after Captain America 2 came out, and then that show takes off.
If you were looking for one of the worst episodes of a TV show you could watch, look for, I believe it's the second or third episode of that show.
Which part are you thinking of? Like, what are you trying to remember?
They went to like a jungle and they went into this like underground.
Episode 2.
It is the worst thing I potentially have ever watched on TV. No, you know what? Because nerds, people, whatever. Doctor Who is a terrible show for many seasons. I'll just say that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a weird show. That is a weird show.
Whatever. Anyway, yeah, I recommend that podcast as somebody that, of course, is on the same site as that podcast. So I'm promoting my own site in a way. But yeah, I liked it. Whatever.
Good. Awesome. All right. So that should be it. Is there any final thoughts? Do you want to drop any knowledge truth bombs on us before we clock out for the night?
It's getting late, but I really just want to watch the second episode of Heroes.
I'm actually curious, and that I might give that a pilot a shot. We'll see. I've already got a lot of
so I'm gonna there's nothing super explicit, but I'm pretty sure that show starts off with content that could potentially offend people. There's like a girl trying to make money by taking her clothes off on the internet. That's one of the things I remember about that show. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily go anywhere super bad, but I'm just gonna say this. Don't get involved with the mob for money. Don't ever take a loan from the mob.
Yeah.
If you were ever in an instance where you are taking money from a member of a mob, just give him the money back and be like, you know what? I think I've made some bad decisions. I've reconsidered my life. And maybe there's you're not going to ever have to it's better to go bankrupt. There's a lot of life advice that I could give you, but don't ever take money from the mob.
Well said. Don't take money from the mob. So, on that note, and that was that wonderful knowledge bomb that Michael has blessed us with, I will end the show. Another episode of The Bag. We'll be back next week with another episode, Lord willing, of this show. #, follow the conversation. For episode 55, this has been me, your host, Drewby, with my co-host.
Band-Aids don't fix bullet holes. Michael Nip.